Welcome to I Wrote That, a podcast where we bring authors and industry experts together to talk about all things books and make the journey to authorship just a little bit easier. My name is Larissa Soehn, and I am the CEO of Next Page Publishing, a hybrid publishing house where we help entrepreneurs write books to grow their businesses. In 2021, I published my first sci-fi novel, The Defender, through a hybrid publishing company. And from that experience, I learned exactly what not to do. When I joined with this very big publishing company, I was put in a system that was designed to push out thousands of books a year, and I was just a cog in the wheel. And it was heartbreaking when my first book was published and it was a flop. In that moment, I made it my mission to found a hybrid publishing company that was going to give aspiring authors the experience that they deserve. Now I'm on a mission to help aspiring authors feel like they are in control of the publishing journey and that they are supported by a team of experts who genuinely want the best for them and their books. If you are in the very beginning of your journey, or maybe you have a manuscript that you're finished and you're not sure how to get it out into the world, I encourage you to reach out to us at nextpagepublishing.net. You can schedule your free discovery call and find out how our team of experts can make your journey to being a published author easy, smooth, and successful. Now, without further ado, let's get on to our next amazing guest and make your journey to authorship a little less complicated. Hey everyone, welcome to today's solo episode with just me, your host, Larissa Soehn, talking about that first look feeling. I am on the cusp of publishing my second sci-fi novel, which will be my sixth book in total, spanning across the children's books I have, the self-help books, and my sci-fi books. I'm coming up on book number 6 that's going to be out in the world and ready for people to read. I'm very, very excited about it, and I really wanted to talk about that first look feeling, that feeling of, I've been working on The Destroyer, which is book 2 to The Defender of the Gatlin series, for about 2 years. And that's an astronomically long time for me, when in reality I wrote it in about an 8-week sprint, and then I set it on the shelf for about a year before I was really ready to come back and pick it up and do the work that I needed to do in it. And it's really important to know that I am not a planner in any way, shape, or form. I'm a pantser when it comes to writing my books. I would love to be a planner. I would love to be able to know what the heck is happening in my book next. I mean, it does keep it exciting for me to not know what's happening. I know when my husband, he asked me like, oh, do you know where this is going? It's like, I have no idea. And so especially when I'm writing a series, that's a really hard place to come from. So when I finished draft 1 of book 2, I knew like in my core that it was a filler book, that it wasn't very good. Draft 1's not supposed to be good, so I would never put that kind of pressure on anyone, but I knew that in order to make it good, to make it something that I would be proud to put out in the world, that readers were going to enjoy, it would need massive revisions. So I put it down for about a year until I was mentally ready to go into those revisions. And so when I finally did pick it up about a year later, I did exactly what I knew I had to do. I did massive rewrites. In fact, it took 3 rounds of self-editing to get the book to where I wanted. I layered in an entirely new story arc. I made my characters more complex. I did more world building to get it out of that icky book 2 feeling. And if you know, it's that book that you feel is absolutely a gateway from book 1 that got you hooked to book 3 in this scenario, where it's the wrap up of the series. And so I needed to get rid of that icky feeling, that feeling that this was just a filler book to bridge the gap between books 1 and 3. And so I did that, and the books are actually currently out for beta reading right now. I have 4 amazing beta readers that are taking a look at the book, and it's a very, very exciting time to be an author, but it's also incredibly terrifying. And one of the things I did, because I was trying to print the book off for my husband to read so that he didn't have to read it on the computer. Unfortunately, I can't do that for my beta readers because they're all over the world. So they got PDF copies of the book. But for my husband, I was like, I will print you off a copy so that he can make notes on the paper and capture his thoughts that way. And this is the funny thing about being an author. It was cheaper to format my book for KDP and print off a proof copy than it was to go to my local Staples, which is just a printing copy center here in my hometown, and print it off. That would have cost me $84 to print off my roughly 300-page double-sided book. Whereas the proof copy from Amazon KDP, yes, it took me a few hours to configure the book into a format that could be printed, but that was $8. I don't think it was even $8. I think it might have been $6 to print and then $4 in shipping. So all in about $10 to get a physical copy of my book. Now, when I published my first book, The Defender, I didn't get that first look feeling because I went with a hybrid publishing house and there was no option to see my book before anyone else did. I was getting copies at the same time that people were ordering copies off of Amazon, and it was really shitty because I didn't get that moment of big reveal, that moment of, oh my gosh, look what I have done, and to share that with the world and to drum up the excitement about that book. I didn't get that. So with this book, I really wasn't expecting to feel the way I did when book 2 arrived in its proof format. So, and yes, I have published 5 other books. The children's books, I technically got a first look of the children's books, but this one was different. The children's books, again, they were written and published within like 3 or 4 months. This book I had sat with for 2 years. So The Destroyer, it just kind of hit different in my soul. And so when the book arrived, when I got the package in the mail, I was overwhelmed with joy. And that is the first look feeling that I wanted all of my authors to have when I started this publishing house. And it's that feeling of seeing your book in type form, seeing your cover art if you have it. It's the feeling of opening the spine for the first time, flipping through the pages of your book, seeing your chapter headers, seeing your name at the top of each and every page and your name on the front cover for the first time. And I'm not even a first-time author, and it was still incredibly overwhelming. And I watch videos on TikTok and things of true new authors, like the first-time book authors opening their books and just the overwhelm that comes with it because they have put so much energy into this book. Time, energy, resources, everything has gone into this book. And that first look feeling is irreplaceable. You cannot get that feeling again with your book. And so I really wanted to do this episode today to talk about how special that moment is. And if you have been waiting to publish your book, if you have been nervous to hit the print button, I highly recommend you do the proof copy first and save that moment just for yourself. Save that moment for you and maybe your closest family members, the unboxing of the first time your book goes from a manuscript on the computer to an actual book with a spine, with color, with pages, page numbers, all that stuff that you just don't get when it's in computer format. That feeling you get of holding it for the first time. So if you are on the cusp of publishing, highly recommend the proof copy, or at least order yourself some author copies before you launch your book so that you can have that first look feeling for yourself. I would even recommend as far as doing it as part of maybe a pseudo launch party where you have a fancy dinner with your family and your friends to celebrate the launch of your book and you open the book together because they're going to see that excitement in you. They're going to see that joy, the shock, the disbelief, the reality that you did something amazing, and they get to share that with you. So that's everything for today. I really wanted to share that first look feeling with you, because if you are an aspiring author, it can be a rocky road up until that point. But the moment you open the package and hold your book for the first time in book format, it will make it all worth it. I absolutely promise that. You will look back fondly on that moment, so make it a moment worth celebrating. And for those of you that are curious, book 2 of the Gatlin series, The Destroyer, comes out on February 3rd, 2024. There is going to be an epic launch party. There is going to be ARC copies. So if you want to know all of the details on that and that book release, you can sign up in our newsletter. I'll put the link in the show notes, and you can be one of the first to know what's happening with that book, and you can get your invite, your VIP invite to the launch party as well. I hope to see you there. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of I Wrote That. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our show so you don't miss any of our upcoming guests. And if this has led you to some inspiration to want to get started on your own authorship journey, whether you just have an idea or you have a manuscript that you're ready to publish, reach out to us at nextpagepublishing.net, and we will match you up with our team of experts to make the journey simple, easy, and smooth.